This is the Dog Savant Podcast with your host, Brett Endies.
All right. Hello, everyone. This is the Dog Savant Podcast. We're at episode 26. I'm Brett. I'm the host. I always like to introduce myself. I am a problem behavior specialist. I am a dog trainer. I go to people's homes. I teach them how to communicate with their dogs, connect with their dogs, and resolve at times some very severe problem behaviors. I also help puppy owners learn how to understand and raise their dogs in a proper way to prevent those severe behaviors. Let's see. I like to take care of some business at the beginning of the show. So if you are listening, please share this. We have, and I told you on the last podcast, to date, 24 listeners, maybe more as this one's coming out. But whoever you are, I appreciate it. I love it. Why don't you, let me know you're out there and I can, do something for you because I really, really love your support and I want to help you. So share with other people. Even if all of you shared and liked and subscribed, it would probably double the listeners. And then we have, so we just keep, growing and growing. I want to do this every week. We're trying to get an episode at least once on Mondays. We may add more if this keeps developing. So just keep supporting. Go on all of my other places like YouTube. It's youtube.com/dogtrainingla. My website is dogtrainingla.com. My Patreon is patreon.com/The Dog Savant. And I have a sponsor, Wild Zora Foods. So if you sign up or purchase from them and order, they are paleo-friendly, super healthy, freeze-dried, and convenient snacks for backpacking and just for anything. If you're a prepper, if you just want to have, because I'm in my car all the time, I bring a few with me. I can add some boiled water. Boom, I have a healthy, organic paleo meal. If you go on the website with your first order, you get 20% off anything you get, the total order. It's wildzorafoods.com. That's Zora with a Z. And use the code THEDOGSAVANT, THEDOGSAVANT, and get 20% off your first order from wildzorafoods.com. Thank you for supporting. I love your food. Me and Jordan here just ate a couple of their bars. They have these awesome meat and vegetable bars that are so good. You carry them around, and they're delicious. They're healthy, and they're not filled with all the crap that a lot of this beef jerky and all that stuff that you get at the stores. So thank you. And if you're any other sponsors that may be interested in supporting the show, something that I would only use myself, whether it be a dog product, a human product, anything tied into what the theme is here for the life I like to promote for dogs and people, reach out to me. Go to my website or email me, dogtrainingla@gmail.com. Okay, so we took care of business. I tried to rifle that out there for you. So let's see yes, of course, what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about timing and consistency. Those are two very key elements to training, conditioning. I think to anything, even to being successful in life, is you have to be consistent and you have to hit good marks. You have to have good timing. Especially when training dogs, whether it be resolving behavior problems, teaching them a new trick, you have to make a clear association. Now, if I was talking to you and I was saying something and then I was like, hey, Jordan, this and that, the other thing, and then I got back to the point, you would, for most people, unless you're ADD like me, you can probably realize the point I'm making, even though I deviated a little bit. With a dog, you have to say sit means sit. Sit doesn't mean sit with your butt up. Sit doesn't mean sit somewhere else. It means sit. Then if you're consistent about that message, then they get the idea. So if you time what you're expecting when you give them an association or a behavior pattern you want them to follow, and then the consistent response is they do it and then they get the outcome that they want, they're going to learn. Now, the hardest thing for us as humans is to have good timing and be consistent while we're living our everyday lives, taking care of our own survival needs like paying bills and enjoying and relaxing and decompressing till the next day we have to get up and pay our bills, right? So for the dogs, some of them are looking for that timing and consistency while our lives have no timing and consistency and are very random, and the patterns they try to get their heads around are overwhelming, and that's the recipe for a lot of home-based or other external behavioral issues or lack of connection between dogs and owners. I talk about it all the time. So I wanted to talk about these two pure elements, timing, consistency. This is if you're a martial artist, if you're doing anything, there's got to be a consistency, almost robotic response to something with that timing associated. So I'll just give little examples, like just as I would be telling a client, just to paint a picture, because you have to get insight to the dog's mind. Their mind is more thinking in pictures, patterns, associations, instinct, relational qualities, not language, gray area, emotion, feeling, concepts, experiences like we do, okay? So you tell a dog to sit. So let's say the microphone's the dog's, you're petting them or scratching them, giving them a treat. Even good treat, they're a good sit, they're doing it. But now the dog gets up or starts getting distracted. You want to immediately stop petting the dog, not punish them, but just remove the praise so they learn that when I'm not in that baseline state of what the command should be, physically and mentally, the praise gets removed. And if I even get up, you reposition me till I learn how to build that constant. That's why I always talk about focus building. The dog learns how to now here sit because you've trained them with good timing and consistency, and then hold it in a real life situation till it's completed the task, despite any kind of distractions, distance, time, duration that's around them, that what you'd expect. So that's really, really important as far as you can train a dog, but if you're not consistent, sit might not always mean sit. A lot of people are like, well, why doesn't my dog listen to me when we're at the dog park? I'm like, well, does you make your dog listen perfectly in the house? When you say come, do they have to come and sit perfectly in front of you? Do you say come, and if they do it, great. If not, so be it. So you have to teach the dog to do everything, and that's the whole Pavlov's thing. If they hear something and they always have the same action with a reward response, they're going to just do it automatically, and then you build it into the dog park. So that takes practice, time, and a lot of just patience, right? I'll add patience to the timing consistency. That's something that we also don't have as a skill, and we have to be patient when we're expecting something from our dogs, whether it's teaching a puppy or resolving issues where your dog has to now undo bad habits and then now learn a new skill to replace it. So you want to just always keep these things in mind. A lot of people just get like I do when I talk to people, like just throw it out there. The point will stick. I'll throw a little concept here and there, a little sidebar, digression, and we still get to the original point at the end. Dogs, that's never going to work. It's got to be sit means sit. Down means down. Heel means heel. Come means come. You don't have to overcomplicate it, but you have to be sit always gets the same response. Come always gets, and I want to create order. That's why positioning is important. So if your dog is coming and then they sit, right? I get my dog to sit. What do you mean? But your dog sits sometimes crooked or next to you, behind you, in front of you. Create a spot and stick with it. So when the dog hears come, their brain now links to not only the response to start motioning towards you, but to now hit a mark so they stay zeroed in, and that will build despite what kind of distractions are under their nose or around them on the way to get to that mark. So you have to start with a 2-foot mark. I stand in front of the dog with a puppy, come, they sit in front of me or next to me, good sit, hold it a little bit, release, back. 3-6 months later, all of a sudden you're doing it out in the field, right? So you have to be patient too. This isn't a podcast about specifics on how do I teach my dog to come. We've had them and we'll continue to have more of them. But I wanted to just these certain mental things, these games. It's just like I'm very much into archery. A lot of you seen the last episode we did about hunting that I'm into, bow hunting. And the reason why I like it's a mental game. It's teaching me to have the same kind of state of mind that I'm expecting in the dogs. That is like a meditative quality, to be in the moment, to be single-pointedly focused on a target to such a clear mind, because it's not just pulling back a bow and releasing. It's nothing like that. Your mind affects the shot. Whether you have the best equipment, the best form, the most experience or practice, that's not as important as your mindset, especially when it's a hunting situation. Way more you have to control your mind. It's like a chess game of life. So it's really good, and this is what we're trying to do for our dogs, is get them to navigate their own mind consciously. And that requires us to be conscious when we're training them too. Self-awareness is the greatest gift or skill a dog trainer can possess. And I find the best dog trainers who can not only teach it, but handle dogs properly, understand themselves in the dog's eyes quite well. And they're watching themselves as if someone else was watching them in their actions, thoughts, body language while they're handling a dog, or even teaching an owner how to handle a dog for that matter. Okay, so that was a brief one, but I wanted to just, sometimes these podcasts will be a little shorter. We're going to touch on these little short topics here. Again, like I said before, share this, subscribe, give good reviews. Let everyone know that this is a podcast that can help so many dogs. If you're affiliated with a shelter, tell your veterinarian. We have to get the message out there. There's not enough information telling about why these dogs have issues and don't listen and have all these problems that can make your lives and theirs miserable and put them in shelters or even worse. Okay, it doesn't have to happen. I've done this a long time, and I know for a fact this works and it's humane, and the dogs are only going to benefit, even though the humans have to change their ways and do a little work and get with the program at times. Okay, because it's about the dogs. It's not about me. It's not about us. It's about their end of the leash exclusively. So thank you for your people supporting. Keep sending your questions in. I want to answer them. And I do have one question I want to answer. So we're not going to get to the business yet. Jordan is waving a package of Wild Zora foods in front of me because I forget. Because look, I'm excited to have a sponsor. That's why I want more sponsors. But it sometimes I'll just be so into the show, the podcast, I forget to. But he's waving a bag of Wild Zora Mediterranean lamb, which is delicious. But I will not forget, Jordan. I see it. Thank you, though. It's kind of funny. All right, so let's do one more. This is Brenda J. Right? So she sent me a message on Facebook. So keep those questions coming, however you may send them. I have a 3-year-old Yorkie that I rescued 3 weeks ago. We live in the country and have a huge jar with a doggy door leading out to it. Dog will not use doggy door no matter what I do. Any helpful suggestions? So if you want to use it, I'm not, obviously I think you know how to be safe with your dog in the country, but be careful of coyotes or any kind of animals that are predators or even hawks or owls that can get to the little guys. I own a Yorkie, actually, so I'm live in the hills, and I'm very cautious with her. So with that said, you want to lure them in. I would flap the door open. I'm not a huge fan of doggy doors, but I'll teach you what I feel is a good way to lure them and get them to condition to get through it. So keep the flap open. So that's what scares them. Let her learn with her favorite treat. You have to use a treat that's of highest value so it gives her the impulse to move towards it. And if you can get her to just get through that threshold in and out a couple times, then you could start slowly lowering the flap, letting her hear the sound, even if she's sitting off to the side, and just decondition her to any kind of over response or sensitivity to it. And then enough comfort, and then she learns, she'll do it more on her own without having to lure her. And that's, the lure and reward training. We talk about that. Having use, this is a good way where you can get your dog, and just shove him out the door. Is that in the Flintstones where he kicks the dog out? You don't want to do that, but you definitely want to show him, even if some people find that putting a leash on the dog and putting it through the door and staying on the other side and giving a little pressure forward while you lure him with the treat. And if a dog's ever dragging behind you, you're trying to move him towards you and they're putting on the brakes, downward low pressure tends to help. You have to usually do it on a collar that stays up high, but that downward low pressure, a lot of times it breaks that resistance and gets a dog to flow energy-wise. It's just an angle game. It really is a kinetic language that they speak. So condition it, but also you can use some of the leash techniques as well to help guide them through, and then they should see it as the norm. Potty training skills would be good too, because then they'll learn that the doggy door is a way to access their potty. So make sure they're not going in the house, so they have the incentive to want to go through the doggy door to relieve themselves. So again, send your questions out. That's great. Thank you so much, Brenda. So just tell everyone, stay tuned for another episode next week. Don't forget to go to my sponsor, WildZoraFoods.com. Add the code TheDogSavant. You get 20% off. And thanks again for everyone watching. Train your dog, lead your dog. And I always say, get out there with your dog. Have a good day, everyone.